was back in the laboratory, everyone realized it was volcanic material that had been erupted in the valley and somehow protected for 3.5 billion years without getting mixed up with everything else. And it has become a very, very important sample, an increasingly important sample in trying to decipher what the actual origin of the moon might be.
The next day, Cernan ends Apollo 17's 75-hour sortie as the last man on the moon.
This valley of history has seen mankind complete its first evolutionary steps into the universe, leaving the planet Earth and going forward into the universe. I think no more significant contribution has Apollo made to history. It's not often that you can foretell history, but I think we can in this case.
When I left the moon and made those final steps, looked back down, and at my last footstep on the moon, I'm not coming this way again. I wanted to stop the clock. I wanted to push the freeze button. I needed time to try and understand where I've been and what I've done, what the last 75 hours have meant to me, have meant to you. Was the risk worth what I have just, whatever it was I've just done and wherever I've been? I couldn't stop the clock and look back at the Earth and came to a conclusion, you know, I don't know what it all means yet, but I've been lucky.
On December 14th, 1972, human exploration of the moon is ceased.
2, 1, ignition. Right away, Houston.
What I felt was a sense of disappointment at a great adventure that was ending before its time. And also the sense of a grand human adventure that had ended too soon. We had just begun to scratch the surface of what the moon could tell us. And we go there and we can actually turn the pages in the earliest history of the solar system, which is recorded on the moon like no other place in the solar system.
Apollo really was a blip in human history in a number of ways, but it was an anomaly that I think the country will never forget, the world will never forget. I think it was worth it, not only for in the geopolitical context, which is what drove the whole thing, but also from the exploration context.
I am not the last man to have walked on the moon. Maybe the last man of Apollo, maybe the last man of the 20th century, but not the last person, not the last man or possibly the last woman to have walked on the moon.
Today, the moon is again coming within our grasp. And again, 40 years later, Apollo will help us reach it. A new generation of moon machines is being built and tested. Many of the new designs are directly descended from Apollo hardware, including the lunar lander. Engineers are eager to hear from the man who flew the first one to land.
And I don't know exactly where this CG is and so on, but sometimes the amount of motion that you get at the cockpit is different than the amount that the footpads are seeing by a substantial margin. And you have to get a sense of that to know how careful you have to be up on top to make sure the bottom is doing the right thing.
The next generation lunar rover will bear little resemblance to the Apollo buggy. Its explorers will drive the moonscape in shirt sleeves.
The key thing about this vehicle is it's a small pressurized rover, so we actually live in the vehicle under pressure. The suits are hanging off the back on devices called suit ports. What we do is we literally open a hatch inside the vehicle, open the back hatch of the suit, step into the suit, and 10 minutes later we're boots on the surface sampling rocks. In an Apollo-style unpressurized rover, you've got 8 hours of consumables in your suit, so you have to go out and turn around and come back at the end of each day, whereas here we're going to live in it.
The next astronauts to make footprints in the lunar dust will stay longer, explore farther, and learn more than ever hoped for on July 20th, 1969, when Apollo 11 changed the world forever.
It's something that I always hoped would happen in my lifetime, and to see it happening now, to potentially be a part of it, and whether it's my foot on the moon or one of my classmates or somebody from my generation is going to do it, and I think it's great.
We did a lot of great work in the 1960s and 70s when we went to the moon, but unfortunately we didn't stay there very long. Now, with their experience, especially under the belt of what we got from the International Space Station and the capability that the Crew Exploration Vehicle gives us, we can actually really explore the moon. It's a whole new planet, a whole new world to go explore, and we've only been to 6 little small spots on it. Now we can go more places. We have a chance to stay there longer.
The human endeavor which people put forth to get us to the moon is the human endeavor we once again need. The spirit of Apollo, the legacy of Apollo, is that human endeavor to do what has never been done before, to reach further than we've ever reached before, to be willing to try, to not be deterred by failure. That's what Apollo was all about.
And as the centuries unfold, we'll go many, many places, but this is the first, and this needs to be remembered as one of the wonderful things of the 20th century. It is a great adventure.
As a planetary scientist at the Johnson Space Center,